Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel, and welcome to this full flight from Zurich in Switzerland to Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. Flight time will be roughly around 6.5 hours, depending on the weather. At the moment it's looking quite rainy, but as you can see in front of us we have the Boeing 777-300ER in the Swiss livery from PMDG. So with that being said, we can hop into the cockpit and prepare the aircraft for the flight. However, before we enter the flight deck, we first need to do some planning of the flight. And for this, I like to use simbrief.com, which is a freeware tool online that enables me to plan all my flights and gather all the relevant data regarding weights and waypoints and altitudes and other important information. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on New Flight, and this will open up a form for us where we can enter in the departure airport as well as the arrival airport. And this will auto-generate for us a flight with all the relevant weights and waypoints and weather data. So I'm just going to start here with the airline code, which is in our case Sierra Whiskey Romeo for Swiss International Airlines. The flight number will be 41905. The departure airport is Lima Sierra Zulu Hotel, which is Zurich, and the arrival airport is Oscar Mike Delta Bravo for Dubai International Airport. The alternate airport will be auto-generated. The departure time is up to date UTC time. The aircraft type is the 777-300ER. Let's see if I can find it here in the drop-down list. There you go. And this will auto-generate for us the entire flight with all its waypoints from Zurich to Dubai. Let's just check here that the AIRAC cycle is up to date, which is the database for all the waypoints. The units will be in kilograms. That is accurate. It's an IFR flight, and all of the weights and altitudes and passengers will be auto-generated, and some realistic value will be put in by the computer. These are our waypoints. These data are very important for the flight planning in the FMC. These entail information for our departure as well as for our approach and arrival into Dubai. And in case you need to do some weather briefing, you can also click on the weather radar here on the map. And at the moment in Zurich, Switzerland, there's quite a few precipitation, which is why you're going to see some overcast clouds near Zurich. Actually, it's about to clear up, so that won't be much of a problem when we depart out of Zurich Airport. However, nicer weather is going to appear as we fly south into the desert. In addition to that, there are many more items here on the list that can be selected and deselected, such as the wind barbs, and as well as the ISA temperature and visibility. That all allows us to plan our flight efficiently and with as little turbulence as possible. Alright, so this is about it for the flight planning. We can now click on Generate Flight, and this will generate for us the OFP, or the Operational Flight Plan, which we then later need in our cockpit for preparing the aircraft. So there you go. It's generated all of the weights for us. So our block fuel for the flight will be around 50 tons, almost 51. We have 306 passengers on board the aircraft. Of course, these values can be set manually. Here's the cargo weights and the zero fuel weights and the takeoff weights. Our initial altitude or cruise altitude is 35,000 feet. I assume that we need to step climb to a higher altitude somewhere mid-flight. But this will be our initial altitude, and but we'll be able to climb even higher than that. That's pretty much it for the flight briefing. SimBrief is actually linked to our aircraft, so the only thing we need to do is hop into the flight deck, power up our iPad in the cockpit, and that way we can load up the electronic flight bag, which has our OFP from SimBrief. Alright, welcome to the flight deck of the 777-300. As you can see, the displays and systems are already up and running. Full electricity is flowing through the aircraft, and this state actually of the cockpit is to be expected when pilots first enter the cockpit, provided of course this is not the first flight of the day. If this were the first flight of the day, then all the systems would be shut down and we would have to power up the aircraft from the ground up, from having no electricity. But in our case, we have more of a turnaround state, which is where all the systems are already up and running. So I guess this is more a realistic state, and going on from here, we can prepare the aircraft for the flight. So our first procedure for preparation is the pre-flight procedure, and our first item is setting the fuel. So for this, we can simply head to the FMC, click on FS Actions, and click on Fuel. This is where we can set the fuel. Normally we can, in the real world, you would do this with the fuel truck, but since we're in the simulator, we can set the fuel, and this will instantly give us all the fuel that we need for the flight. So how much fuel do we actually need? This will be the block fuel that we need to enter. The block fuel is again on the OFP that SimBrief has generated for us. In order to access this OFP, we can click on the electronic flight bag on our iPad and request the data from SimBrief. As I've mentioned before, SimBrief is connected to this application, which is why we can click on here, and this will load up our operational flight plan with all the data that are relevant for our flight. So the block fuel can be found here, which is 50 tons, or 50.6. That is the value that we're going to enter in here. So 50.6, this will automatically calculate it times 1,000, and now we have the fuel already on board. Good, fuel is set. Our next step is to set the payload. So let's click on return and set the payload and enter in the zero fuel weight. The zero fuel weight can again be found on the OFP. As far as I remember, it is a little further down. If we scroll down here, we will find the zero fuel weight, which is 199.4. So let's enter that in. 199.4. There you go. That is now set as well. Next step is the identification and position. So for this, we can click on return. Actually, we can click on menu and click on FMC. This will open up the identification page, and we're just going to cross-check if these data are all accurate and up to date. The model seems fine, the engine rating as well. Air rack cycle is up to date, and the date itself is also correct. Okay, that being checked, we can now go to the position initialization page. This is where we need to enter the coordinates so the aircraft knows where we are on this Earth. For this, we need to first head over to the overhead panel and click on the Diru button. Now we can head back to the FMC. This will only take a few minutes until the aircraft knows where we are, and that's where we can load in the GPS coordinates. But before we do that, we can set the origin and destination. But let's just set first the ref gate. The reference code of our departure is Lima Sierra Zulu Hotel for Zurich. These are the coordinates, and we can now simply copy paste it into the scratchpad and enter it in here. There you go. Next step is setting the origin and destination of the route. For this, we can now click on route, and again enter in the departure airport. Lima Sierra to the hotel, and our destination code is once again Oscar Mike Delta Bravo. The flight number is 41905, as far as I remember. We can still double check that if that wasn't the case. It's up here. There you go, 41905. That's correct. That is set. Now we can go to the departure and arrival. So let's select our departure out of Zurich. The departure runway is, I think, 28. Let's just double check here. There it is, Lima Sierra Zulu Hotel, 28. So let's click on runway 28 for our departure runway, and our SID out of Zurich, which is our departure SID, is Degas 1 Yankee. Let's see if we can find that. Degas, I think the Swiss one right here, Degas 1 Yankee. There you go. As you might already noticed, on the ND, or the navigation display, it already made a suggestion of our route out of Zurich. And once we confirm this flight route, it's going to turn into a magenta color. But right now it has these dashed blue lines at the moment. Right. So now we can click on route and next page and enter in all the waypoints until Dubai. So for this, we need to head over back to our EFB and enter in all of these data into the FMC. So to make this a little more easier for us, we're going to manually enter in all the data just for the sake of realism. But we're just going to bring up the iPad here, and that way we don't have to switch back and forth when we have the iPad right above the FMC. So let's enter in all the data, and this will only take us a few minutes. Alright, so that was the entire flight. All the waypoints are now set in the FMC. As you can see here, if we skip through the pages, all the waypoints in the iPad are now set into the FMC, so that the autopilot knows where we need to go. Alright, so our next step is now to set the arrival and approach into Dubai. For this we click again on the departure arrival index, and this time click on arrival Dubai. Our arrival star, or let's just first do the arrival runway. As far as I remember, it's ILS 30 left. Let's just double check this. Oh, iPad's up here. There you go. OMDB 30 left. So let's click on ILS 30 left. And the arrival star is VUTEB 3 Charlie. So let's go ahead and find VUTEB 3 Charlie. There it is. Let's click on that. And the transition will most likely be ULDOT. Let's double check. If we scroll down here, the route. You might be able to see towards the end ULDOT. There it is. There it is, ULDOT. So let's enter the transition. And that is the FMC almost set up. Let's just click on route again and confirm that all the waypoints are entered into the FMC. So just gonna make sure there are no gaps. And this actually looks pretty complete. So let's go to the legs page. Here are all the waypoints with the degrees of heading. At the moment, there are no altitudes or speeds visible. You only see dashed lines. This is because we haven't entered in some more information, for example the weights, in order for it to calculate the speeds. So in that case, we're still not done yet for the FMC. Let's just quickly though make sure that there are no gaps or route discontinuities in the route. So let me click through all the pages. Make sure there are no empty waypoints visible, which does not seem to be the case. To double check this, we can click on plan, and this will, we zoom down here, this will actually enable us to sort of debug the entire flight, which the FMC has planned, and we can step through the entire route. So as you can see on the navigation display, this is our aircraft with the runway 128, and that's how we're going to climb out of Zurich. And the first turn will be a left turn, and then we'll turn back to Zurich Airport and head east. So let's just step through and make sure there are no gaps there and all the waypoints make sense. It's very zoomed in, so let's actually zoom out of the map 10, 30, 40 nautical miles and step through. Oh, that looked a little weird. Let me zoom out. Get an Oh, this is good. These are a lot of waypoints now. Can skip through. And Dubai has always this long arrival. A couple of loops. As you can see here, if we zoom in into the map again. Here at this waypoint, we should be at 12,000 feet below. And this is our arrival runway, 30 left. This is our arrival, very long arrival actually. So here we make the turn, and then head straight to the runway. And everything that comes after it is the go-around procedure. Okay, so looks good to me. Let's go to the first page again, the Lakes page. Actually, we can disable the plan mode, go back to the map. Oops, that's the wrong button. Enable traffic. And I'm happy with the flight plan, so we can now activate and execute it. This has now turned the flight route to a magenta color. Let's go to performance initialization, which is our next step. And now we need to enter in some more data. So our first step is to copy and accept the Zurich fuel weight. So the Zurich fuel weight is something we've already entered in the very beginning. The computer remembers this value, so all we need to do is copy it into the scratch pad, paste it in here, and then the Zurich fuel weight is in there. The gross weight is the same value as in the OFP. Cost index we need to set, as far as I believe it's 200. Let's go ahead and check. The cost index can be found here, which is the CI value of 200. So let's enter that in there. Oops, that was the wrong entry. 200. Our cruise altitude is actually 35,000 feet. Now it's slightly adapted the flight route. The cruising altitude can be found in this OFP on here. There you go. There you see 350 for our initial cruise altitude. Then after MEDOX, we can step climb up to 37,000 feet, and after Neymar, or at Neymar, up to 39,000 feet. Alright, reserves. What kind of reserve fuel do we need? Fin res should be here, around 3 tons of reserves fuel. And that should be pretty much it for this performance initialization page. So just double check, gross weight is confirmed, cost index is set, reserves is set, cruise altitude is set as well. Now we can go to the VNAV page and set the transition altitude, where we need to switch over to the standard pressure. In Switzerland it's default, I think 7,000 feet. That is set. Now we can go to the legs page again, and now we should be able to see the altitudes, the flight levels, and the speeds, because now the aircraft knows what kind of weights we're carrying on board. It is able to calculate the speeds as well. Let's go back to the init ref and then click on thrust limitation. So for our takeoff, we don't need 100% of our thrust power, so I think it will be a derated takeoff where only 90 or 80% of the total thrust will be utilized. So to figure out what kind of climb and what kind of takeoff thrust we need to head over back to the AFB and open up a different app, which is the performance tool. So in here we need to select a couple more things. The runway ID is 28. Now that'll gather the information regarding this runway. Runway conditions are dry. I think it has stopped raining and the weather's about to clear up, so that's good. Before it was wet, so that might have had an impact on the required distance for takeoff. Okay, so we're going to put in dry. This is our runway length and our elevation. For the aircraft performance or aircraft data, we're going to import that from, we can either import it from the OFP or from the aircraft. Let's import it from the aircraft for slightly more accurate data. Import the weather as well. Currently we have a 1017 hectopascals QNH. At the moment it's 15 degrees Celsius, and we have 10 knots of wind from 2980 heading. So based on this data, we can now calculate the takeoff distance, and this will give us these values that we need to now enter into the FMC. So for our derated takeoff, we're going to choose takeoff 1 and climb 1. Our cell APU is located here. Cell temperature is 40 degrees. There you go. And that's pretty much it. Now we can move on to the takeoff reference and enter in some data relevant for the takeoff. But the flap setting for takeoff will be flaps 5, as you can see here. So let's enter in 5. And now he has suggested to us some V speeds. So V1 if you rotate, and V2. Let's but first double check with the OFP and with those data to make sure that they match what the FMC has calculated. So the V1 speed is 154, V rotation speed is 159, and V2 166. So 154 is correct, 159 is also correct. Let's take over, and V2 speed is 166. In case this was to deviate from the FMC, we could just manually enter it, but this seems to be calculated just fine. Center of gravity can be copy pasted as well, and this will give us a trim of 4.75. Right, so that's it for the takeoff reference, and that's it for the FMC programming. Now we can head over to the overhead panel and prepare the aircraft on this panel as well. So the ADIRU or ADIRU button is set to on. It's actually moved from top to bottom and then from left to right. So the electrical is already set. APU is running and on. Wipers, we don't need them. The voice recorder can be set to on. Emergency lights can be set to armed. The window heat is already on. That's good. The hydraulics, the right electric demand pump can be turned to auto, which is this one. Then the fault light will disappear. There you go. C2 and C1 can be turned to on. The electric primary. The left electric demand pump can be set to auto, and also as well the C1 and C2 air demand. Seatbelt signs can be set to on. Lights, we don't need any at the moment since it's broad daylight. The fuel pumps can be set to on as well. I don't think we have any fuel in the center pumps, so yeah, I think we can press them. We don't need them. Right, these lights remain off for now, and the air conditioning is already set to on, as well as the bleeder to auto, which is good. Right, that's it for the overhead panel. Our next step is to set the trim. So from the FMC, we know how we have a trim of 4.75, and that's something we can set here with this kind of handle or switch. So it was already set to 4.25. Or was it? Oh, it's 4.75. So let me adjust that. There you go. It should be roughly 4.75. There you go. The trim is set. Now we can go to the MCP, which is this panel right here, and dial in our V2 speed, which is in our case 166. 166 knots. There you go. Then the heading, we're just gonna select that to the heading of the runway, which is 274. There you go. And the altitude we can set directly to our cruising altitude. Since we're not going to be using any ATC today, we don't have any restrictions, nor do we have any traffic, so we can directly go up to 35,000 feet. Right, so V2 speeds is checked, the heading as well, and the altitude. Flight directors can be turned on, LNAV and VNAV as well. Transponder is set to default 2200 TARA. Transponder is located here. Again, we don't use any ATC today, but let's just set this to the default 2200, and it's set to TARA. That is good. The FS, it can be set to hectopascal for our pressure, and we zoom in here. This is the navigation display with the ND, and this is the PFD, the primarily flight display. And at the bottom here, below the altitude, you see the hectopascal value of 1013. The current hectopascal value at Zurich should be something different. This is the standard Pascal value, but the real one is actually 1017. So let's set that as well. Let's double check if that's really the QNH. We can get the METAR of our departure airport, and there we get the same value, which is 1017 for our QNH. So let's set in 1017. There you go. Oh, that's 1018. There you go. So the QNH is set. Since we're almost ready for pushback, we can also turn on the beacon light, and the strobe lights can be set to on. Now we can do the before start checklist. So the checklist button is located over here. Click on it as well, and down here we can now click through all the items. So let's just first do the pre-flight checklist. Oxygen is checked, flight instruments are as well checked. The parking brake is not set for some reason. Let's just quickly go ahead and do that first. There you go. Now the parking brake is set and is also checked automatically. I can press normal, And here's now the before start checklist. So flight deck doors should all be closed and locked. Let's just go ahead and do that. I think if we go to the outside view, we'll see, yeah, the jetway is still connected. There's GPU is also still connected. We need to disconnect it. So let's go to the iPad again and click on ground operations. Ground connections, we can release, actually, the ground power is disconnected. That's great. We can now close all the doors. And now they're all closed. The ground service vehicles can now be released. We don't need any cargo or catering or cabin cleaning anymore. It's going to all be closed since we're almost ready for pushback. There you go. This looks good. The jetway can now be disconnected. So shortly be removed. There you go. By the way, we have more views in this airplane, not just this cockpit view. We also have passenger views as well. So if we switch to this view, we can see the turbine from, I guess, business class or first class. And you see the massive, gigantic GE90 engines. I think the diameter of this huge engine is about 3.52 meters, which is almost the size of the fuselage of the 737. And each of those GE90 engines will produce roughly around 115,000 pounds of static thrust max, which is one of the most powerful engines on a civil aircraft. Here again we have the wing views, both from the right side and from the left side. The strobe lights are on, which is why you see that at the wingtip there's this light blinking. And also this view as well. Alright, let's head back to the cockpit and finish off this preparation. The before start checklists can now be continued. Flight deck doors are now closed, hatches are locked and armed and closed as well. MCP is set. We've already dialed in our V2 and the heading, altitude are set. Takeoff speeds are set as well. We have 154, 159 and 166 knots. CD approved flight is completed. Trim is set and taxi and takeoff briefing. Okay, let's just do that quickly. Let's head over to our electronic flight bag and pull up some charts for the airport. So our departure airport is here, and now we need some charts of the airport, of the taxiways and the gates. Let me see if I can find it. It should be here. There you go. This is a chart for airport, Zurich Airport. As you can see here, our airplane is located at Dock Echo, and runway 28 is located over here, so the taxi will be rather short. We'll do a pushback to the left and then take taxiway Charlie. Then we'll take, I don't know if this is Kilo, I think, and then Bravo, and then hold at Bravo 1, and then we can take off on runway 28, and that's where we're going to depart out of. that's it for the taxi and takeoff briefing. Completed, and we can now set it to before taxi checklist. Yeah, we're gonna leave that later, so let's for the moment disable the checklists. Here are also several other buttons that we can click in order to check the various systems of the aircraft. So here the ECAS display, we see the engine performance. We can check the hydraulics as well as the fuel on both fuel tanks as well as the center tanks. Here's I believe the air conditioning, the doors, and the gears, the flight controls. Should be able to respond to this. Yes, it does. That's good. Alright. Let's just put it to dark, since we don't need any of that at the moment. And now we are ready for pushback. So let's go ahead and remove the chocks. I think the chocks are still in place, so let's remove those as well. There you go. That should be now removed. Let me just double check from the outside. Yeah, it looks fine. Looks free. Looks good to me. And yeah, we should be ready for pushback now. Let's hop back into the cockpit and request our pushback. Let's do a manual pushback. And
cockpit to ground.
We want to the left.
This is ground. Stand by.
There you go. You can see the pushback tug is connecting to the wheel.
Okay, sir. The bypass pin is installed. All doors and hatches closed and all ground equipment is removed.
The parking brakes are set. You may lift.
Parking brake set. Lifting the aircraft. Standing by for pushback.
Alright. Let's set this to the legs page now. And will be a reverse pushback.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead.
We are cleared for start and push. Parking brake set.
Okay, cleared for push start. Please release parking brake.
There we go. Now I can release the parking brake.
Parking brakes are released.
Commencing pushback. You can start the engines in sequence.
It will start in the sequence.
Alright, now we're pushing back. We push back to the left, so let's go ahead and make a turn right here. It's quite a large aircraft, so I think we need to start the turn quite early. Our next steps would be to do the before taxi checklist, and also power up the engines. So let's just line up here smoothly. There you go. Almost there. Let's just hold here and go a little forward. Alright, I think this will suffice. Let's just hold here and stop the pushback.
Okay, pushback completed. Please set your parking brake.
Parking brake set.
Parking brake set. Lowering aircraft.
Ground. You may disconnect.
Okay, sir. Cleared to disconnect. Pin has been removed. See you at the side. Have a good flight.
Holding position waiting for the visual. Thank you and goodbye.
There you go, now the pushback tug is disconnected. Looks good. Alright. Looking very good here. Can I close this? Oh my goodness. It looks very dark over there. Alright. Let's head back to the cockpit and do an engine start. Right, so for the engine start, we can go to the ECAS display and turn on the engine view of both engines. Now, as you can see, we have the performance of both GE90 engines, and also its oil quantity and oil pressure. This way we can track if any anomalies do occur when we engine start. This is just to check if the engines are starting, powering up normally. So let's go ahead and start engine number 2. For this, we can go to the overhead panel and go to the engine panel and start the engine number 2. Let's give it some fuel, and now we can listen to the engine start of the GE90. Alright, that looks like a successful engine start. And now we can power up engine number 1. So let's just go ahead and click on start and give it some fuel as well. can see engine powering up here as well. Is the engine spooling up? And you might be able to hear the hydraulics as well. I think that's as soon as we set the flaps. You'll be able to hear it. Alright, so let's head back to the cockpit, and we can now turn off the ABU. We don't need that anymore, since our engines are going to generate electricity, powers the aircraft. The flaps can be set to 5. We can actually hear the flaps going down. Alright, as soon as the flaps are set, next step would be setting the auto brake. Alright, the auto brake will be set to RTO. Next is pushing the recall button. There you go. That does not give us any warnings. Alright, flight controls. So let's move our yoke, see if it works. So pull left, pull right. Let me actually look at this way. Oh, there you go. Now this works. Alright, very nice. Let's just pull left. So the yoke works. Now the rudder pedals, left, right, center. This works fine as well. Transponder is set. Taxi lights can be now set to on. And now we are ready for the before taxi checklist. So let's go ahead and switch that on and head over to before taxi. So anti-ice we don't need. Recall is checked. Auto brake is set to RTO. Flight controls were checked. Ground equipment is clear. The pushback tug is removed. All the cones and chocks are removed as well. Alright, this should be it for the before taxi checklist. Let's clear that up, and should now be ready for taxi. So let's remove the parking brake and give it a bit of a power on the throttle, just a few %. That'll already get us moving forward. Let's check our charts, see where we're going. I'm going to take Charlie, Kilo, and then Bravo, Bravo 1. Move the rudder pedals and slowly adjust it. There you go, moving. A little faster here, a bit slow. Not sure if we need the weather radar. We can click and see what happens. There's not much precipitation around, so I don't think it detects any water particles, so that's why there's nothing in the weather radar. So in this case we don't need it. Alright. Let's taxi to the runway 28. See, gone. There you go. Take the next one. There you go. Yeah. That's good. You can see the wing flex and the wing tips. Looks very nice. Alright. Brake here a little bit. Now again, this particular 777 is the longest 777 there is, so we're gonna have to make sure that when we take those turns, we're gonna have to oversteer a little bit, just so that we don't roll over the grass. Alright. There's almost our runway. Since there's no traffic, we can just directly line up runway 28, so we want to get moving here as soon as possible. Take off. Let's just brake here. Take the turn. Turn. Just do it a little bit too much. Oh, so it gave us a warning. Checklist incomplete. Let's clear that warning. Seems as though we did not complete the checklist yet. Of course, we haven't done the before takeoff checklist. So let's go ahead and quickly do that. Set the parking brake before takeoff. The only item that we need to check on this checklist is the flaps, which are set. So let's click on normal. That's about it. Now the warning is gone. And we should now be ready for takeoff. So before takeoff, we can now set the landing lights to on, since we're on the runway. Runway turn-off lights can be set to on. Before takeoff checklist is performed and completed. And that's about it. So for the takeoff, this is how we're going to do it. We will increase the throttle by 55% N1. And then we'll click this screw here, which is the toga button. The actual toga button is right here on this black button. But since we're in a simulator, we can also click on this screw, and that'll automatically push forward the throttles for our necessary thrust that we need for takeoff. And then we accelerate to our rotation speed, and then rotate. And then once we reach positive rate, we put the gear up and retract the flaps, and then engage the autopilot as soon as we take off, actually. Yeah. And then we switch off some of the lights, and that's how we take off. Okay, so let's zoom in here in the map. Again, we don't need the weather radar. The lights are all set. The parking brake can now be released, and we are ready for takeoff. So let's start the clock, run it, and just give it a bit of power, 55%, and 1, and then we can press tow go, right? With the engine spooling up, and tow go.
Airspeed's alive.
Let's keep the center line in.
80 knots.
Check. Once we reach V1, we cannot take off anymore.
V1.
Rotate.
Rotate.
V2. Positive rate of climb.
Gear up. And this model climbs like a beast because of those powerful engines. To make sure we don't overdo this. We've now reached the speed, flaps 5, we can actually, flaps 1, we can engage the autopilot as well. Now that we've reached flaps 1 speed, we can now set it to flaps up. And that's Zurich over there, and hopefully make the turn there. It's a bit strange departure. That'll fix itself. Right, so that was the takeoff. We can autopilot is engaged. Now do the after takeoff checklist. Go through that quickly. Landing gear is up, flaps and up. Right. Runway turn off lights and taxi lights can be set to off. And at 10,000 feet we can also turn off the landing lights. We've now almost reached transition altitude. There you go. We can switch to standard pressure. Set for the first officer as well. That's very good. Checklist anyway. I can see the surfer clouds. Looks looking all fine. Autopilot is following those movements. Again, we have slightly bit of a not so pretty departure line here. I think that's going to fix itself. See from the other side. I've already missed it. Alright, we're at 12,000 feet. We can turn off the landing lights as well. And where's it looking off to? You know what, please go direct to normal. There you go, it's corrected now. You can even see the engine vibrating. They're not very accurate and smooth, but still there. We're at 6 minutes into departure, and we're already at 16,000 feet. Very powerful engines, and we're climbing very fast. So just our heading. Feet set should automatically plane to that altitude. Have a look at the passenger views. Look at what I want. This looks nice. So yeah, from this point on, there's nothing more to do, or nothing much to do. Soon we're going to reach our cruising altitude, and going on from there, we just need to monitor all the systems and check for Northern weather, and maybe do our arrival briefing already into Dubai. And we have the various charts available for our wireless approach. As far as I remember, it's IS runway 30 left, category 2, category 3. And resuming here, we get our descent profile with including the decision height values, the altitudes that we need to maintain. But this will be more relevant in about 6 hours. So for now, let's just kind of monitor all the systems, and I will see you at cruising level. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back now to the flight deck. 5.5 hours later, we are at almost at the top of descent. If you can, you might be able to see it on the navigation display. We have this green mark that actually says T/D, which means top of descent, and it's from that point on we will descend and decrease our altitude. At the moment we're at 39,000 feet. Our initial cruise altitude was 35,000 feet, but we've step climbed up to 39, and now almost ready to make the descent into Dubai. We're already dialed in the altitude of 2,000 feet, which is the altitude, if you look on the chart here for ILS 30 left, we see that before we intercept the localizer and then capture the glide slope, we need to remain at a 2,000 feet altitude before we can then head down to the runway. Alright, so a couple of things that we can check before we descend. We can quickly quickly check the engine performance. Anything is looking in the green. And the fuel is sufficient for our descent. Throughout almost the entire descent, our engine thrust will be at idle, or a large portion of it, I should say, and so that so the fuel will here be sufficient. We'll roughly got around 10 tons of fuel left, and that should be enough for some extra 30 minutes of flight time, in case we have to do a go-around. Avionics can be checked as well. I'm not going to do that. Weather conditions, it looks very clear. It's very bright outside. It's broad daylight. Wait, so we're almost at our top of descent point, and as soon as the plane reaches that point, it will descend automatically through the autopilot. Maybe we could check the flight plan. We go to the legs page. You can see the remaining waypoints and the altitude restrictions. For example, this one 8,000 at or above. That's what the A is. That's what it means by there's an A there. Okay, we're getting a message called drag required. Perhaps the aircraft cannot slow down enough. So that is why we might need to extend the speed brakes a little more. Clear the message. As you can see, the aircraft has begun its descent, slowly descending. As you might have seen, this RNP ANP suddenly appeared. This tells us how much off we are of the vertical flight path. In this case, we are 200 feet above, I think. We're descending at around 4,000 feet per minute. As this diamond is trying to line itself through the autopilot, and yeah, we're getting a warning that speed brake is extended. This is what we need. Otherwise, if the speed brake wasn't extended, we might overshoot the target and might get a warning of overspeed, but let's just make sure that we don't overspeed. Right, so let's quickly look at the flight plan. The flight plan looks good, but let's quickly check the arrival procedures. Once again, heading 2909 up to 2,000 feet, and then we'll capture the localizer and then, the glide slope and then cabin conditions is checked, arrival procedures are reviewed. MSFS altitude is already set to the decision height before the top of the descent. Now we can go to the FMC and click init ref, and that's where we need to confirm that we are on the approach reference page. This is where we need to start putting in some landing data into the computer. In our case, we need to select our flaps and VREF setting. So I'm gonna pick a flaps 25 for the landing and 144 knots, and that's can be simply pasted in here. So it's getting a little bit more. just disarm the speakers. I think we don't need them. I hope the throttle won't go crazy again. Because it's throttling. Alright, let's continue. So let's remember flaps 25 and 144 knots. Is our VREF speed. Nav radio, or nav red, repressed. And this will be our RLS frequency to capture the glide slope. So the ILS frequency is confirmed, and landing heading is correct, 299er, as we have just reviewed in the charts. Now we can click on VNAV chart, VNAV button, click on forecast, and the transition level is in Dubai, 15,000 feet. So that is set already. Go back to the lakes page and move on to the next item. Auto brake can be set to 3. Let me just check it is done correctly. There you go. It's 3. Let me have a look quickly. A look outside. It looks like the sun is setting. Oh yeah, that looks beautiful. Alright. It needs some more drag. Yeah, slightly above the speed target. Zoom in here. Press recall. Okay. So auto brake is set to 3. The FS can be set to radio. There it is. Radio. The RST can be set. The inner reorder switch to 50 feet. There you go. We're on the vertical flight path, which is amazing. Now we can do the descent checklist. Let's go ahead and do that. Open up the checklist. Recall is pressed, notes checked, auto brake is set to 3, landing data, let's see if we're still in, I can recall the data, 144 knots, and there should be a flaps 25. Okay. So that's checked, and the approach briefing is completed. We have the charts here. Set this to normal. And disappear. Messages here. It's descending nicely down to 16,000 feet. It's continuing on. If we zoom in here to the map, we should be able to see the coastline maybe where the Dubai airport is. All those blinds and shades can be removed. It's just not that bright anymore. Otherwise, let's. We still haven't made that turn yet. so you won't be able to see anything. Alright, we've passed the transition altitude. We can go back to the local pressure, which I don't know if it's 1013. We can check that as well. So let's get the METAR for the arrival, and the QNH is actually 1000. Alright. Let's quickly adjust that to have an accurate altitude. There you go. Seems like we are a little bit low here, but I think that should just pan out just fine. Right, the descent checklist is set. Recall. I've already pressed that multiple times today. QNH is set to the destination after the transition level. And we're almost at 10,000 feet. That's where we can put on the landing lights. And at 210 knots is where we can set flaps 1. I suppose that's the coast of Dubai. Nicely making a turn. Let's see if we can look outside. Right, so then if we look at the map, you see the next waypoint is Lubbock. That's where we're supposed to be at 11,000 feet below. It's below FL110. Holding 230 knots. Landing lights, turned on. Let's put on the local lights as well. It's about to get dark. We might be able to see Dubai International Airport. I think that's it over there. And judging from the map, we are flying from the right side. making that right turn. Oh, I think that's it. That's the bi-international. That's a different airport. This one's it. Let's just quickly check if we have any fuel. Should be fine. Yeah, 8.5 tons. Alright, check the tablet, you can see we're almost there on the map. Here we are. Now we just follow along with the autopilot flight path and then make the right turn. And then land. Face your left. Right. Open up the charts, leave it open. Cabin ready, autopilot 3, passenger side. Very good. Can we see anything of the city? It might pop up any second now. The skyline. Yeah, it's a very long approach. We have plenty of time. This looks nice. So we've actually already passed 200, staying at 210 knots, and yeah, that's the mark for flaps 1. But I think it will be otherwise too slow. So at blue dot waypoint is where we're going to slow down to 85 knots. That's where we're going to remain 2,000 feet at or above. as we turn in on final approach, we can set the speed manually to around 177 knots, and then set the flaps to flaps 5. Tuning in the final heading of 299er. Let's see if it's going to descend full dot or after or not. Slight wind coming from the northeast, I think. Northwest, actually. Right. So, we're gonna speeds here. 210. Alright. I got full dot. Set flaps 1. Let's check the charts. Right. So it's set bow to maintain 2000. It's after all dot, and that motors start to slow down and slow. Have I turned on? Yeah, I think it will. Oh, not yet. Okay, I think we can set flaps 1. So I guess now we can select the localizer, which is good. There you go. Now you can see on the BFD the diamonds that are trying to align. As soon as this diamond tries to come near to the middle, we can press the approach button. And now I think we can set flaps 5. Localizer. Approach checklist.
2500.
Altimeters checked. That's about it. Right, localizer is captured, so I think we can now press the approach button. As soon as the diamonds are trying to come near the middle. Let's press it down. So the glide slope is on. Let's wait for it to capture. When the glide slope signal is captured, we can then press localizer. I guess it's not yet. We can now set flaps 15 and put the gear down. There you go, VNAV path. There you go, glide slope is captured. We can now set it to 144. Let's set it to 149, but because we need that plus 5 knots. Landing gear lever can go down. We can now select flaps 20. Gear is set. Speed brake can be armed. Gear is down, and the laps can be set to 25, and then the should be checked. There you go, landing checklist completed, and now let's land this airplane. At around 500 feet, we can disengage the autopilot.
1,000.
And yeah, take over and manual land this plane. Slightly askew. It should be fine. A little bit high, puppy lights. Let's try to make that direction to the left, it's good. Now below 100 feet. Let's disengage the autopilot and take over. Got my aircraft now, and let's try to land this plane smoothly. Way too high.
Glide slope. Sink rate. Glide slope.
Approaching minimums.
Glide slope.
100.
Glide slope. Glide slope. Glide slope.
Minimum.
Glide slope. Glide slope.
20. 10.
Bit of harsh landing, but quick versus. Take the next exit. Right, so Cool, we've landed in Dubai. Speed brakes can be go up. Disarmed. And then APU can be turned on. Where is it? Let's make that F2 first. Put on the dome, otherwise you can't see anything. APU, I think it started. Landing lights can be turned off. Taxi lights can remain on. Strobe lights can be turned off now. Taxi lights are on. Auto brake can be set to off. Flaps can go up. Transponder, TIRA, taxi, to go. It's a bit sad we don't have a lot of lights here. I don't have an add-on for this airport, so I'm just gonna have to deal with it. Right, let's decide which gate we're going to choose to park. I think we should just go to the next one. They all look the same. Stop here. Set the parking brake. The throttles are idle. Fuel controls can be set to cut off, both of them. Seatbelt signs can be turned off. The C1 and C2 air demand can be turned off. The L elect pump can be set to off as well. C1 and C2, let's turn them off as well. This one as well. Fuel pumps, don't need them anymore. Turn them off. Beacon light can be set to off. Light directors can be turned off. TCAS can be set to standby. TCAS stat, confirm no warnings. Supposed to recall. Nope. Chucks can now be set. Let's go to the ground operations and set the chocks. Request the jetway. Request the ground power. since the chocks are now set, we can actually release the parking brake. Alright. Jetway's connecting. Hope so. Yes, looks like it. And I hope the entry 2 door, we're gonna open that. Did it open? Let's open it now. Okay, I think it's opened. Let's also open up the forward after bulk doors. The cargo, and then we'll do the shutdown checklist. But for now, let's have a quick look outside. Oops. So zoom in. We are at Dubai. Oh, the lights are still on. Let's fix that. So taxi lights can be turned off. Nav lights, local lights can be turned off. Alright. Ground service vehicles. After cargo, bulk cargo, belly, yeah, after belly can go as well. There you go. Right, so welcome to Dubai. After the successful flight. Hope you enjoyed it. As you were able to come along with me and in this 6.5 hour flight. And yeah, we'll see you again soon. Bye bye.